Okay, so I just wanted to chat about something that I feel like a lot of guys my age are dealing with, and not even just guys, but just people in general in my generation have to deal with. And that's pornography. That's sexual thoughts. That's, by the way, I'm sick a little bit, so sorry about my voice. But things like that, okay? Um, I'm talking like just I just want to tell you a story. I want to tell you about my life, okay? And I'm trying to warn you about how awful it can be for you, um, mentally and physically, and how detrimental it is to your emotional health. Um, I, for a long time, for years, I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm 20 years old, okay? And I've never been in a relationship, all right? I'm just being for real, okay? So I've never had sex before, but man, when I was a kid, I got introduced to pornography. I don't even know how old I was. I was probably like 13 or something, bro. I mean, who knows, right? But when I was that young, I didn't understand what the heck I was seeing. I didn't know what that stuff was. You know what I'm saying? But I just saw it. And it like ever since then, when I was like growing up as a teenager, that stuff was just normal to me. And that's what I'm trying to get at here in this video is that it's not normal, okay? The world will tell you that having sexual appetites is normal. That having, sex with as many women as you want or men as you want or whatever is normal. And that watching pornography and masturbating all the time is normal. But I'm here to tell you that that's not true. And it will mess you up badly, okay? I know this from personal experience. Um, so, you know, I'm not going to get into my whole life story here, but my point here is that during COVID, especially, I got kicked out of school because of COVID. I went to ninth grade and I took virtual that year, and I failed that year because I was really depressed and stuff. I'm not going to get into all that. But anyway, point here is that my pornography addiction skyrocketed and went through the roof, okay, at that time. And I'm telling you, and I'm willing to bet if you're watching this video and you have a pornography addiction, I'm willing to guarantee you cannot look at a woman without thinking sexual things about her. I promise you. I've been to that place, brother. I've been there, okay? Trust me. I've been there. I've done stuff that I'm not proud of, okay? That I'm not going to tell you about. But like that's just how your brain works. When all you do is think about pornography and all you do is watch pornography, that's what happens. You think about that stuff constantly, okay? I'm not going to get into specifics cuz it's gross, but like you know what I'm talking about, okay? You know what I'm talking about. I promise. I've been in them Reddit threads, bro. Okay? I've scrolled down on Instagram or something to find a picture that I've been looking for. Okay? Like I've been in that place before, dude. I've had like a bunch of stuff saved on my phone all the time. Like I've been in that place before, dude, where that's all you do, all you think about. Okay? And I'm trying to tell you now because you're probably young if you're watching this, you're probably around my age or maybe even younger than me. And I'm trying to tell you that the consequences of that are high. And you're going to have to deal with that for a long time. It's not just a now thing, and it doesn't just affect you, I promise. Okay? When you get older, you're going to have to deal with that, and you're going to have to try to stop doing it, and it's not going to be easy. But here's the thing the world, again, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people that think that that stuff is normal, and it isn't. And you might not even feel convicted about it. You might not even feel like I don't have a problem because it's normal. Because that's what the world tries to tell you, that it is normal to watch pornography and to have those appetites. And I'm not saying that sex is a problem, okay? Because it isn't. It's normal. But it's normal against two married people, okay? Not going around and having sex with as many people as you want to, because that's not right. And when you have sex with that many people, you don't look at a human being like a human being anymore. They're just a piece of meat to satisfy your own needs. I want to talk about, like, let's say you look at an alcoholic or a drug addict Or you look at someone who's like really obese, like severely because they can't stop eating, right? Something like that. They're just addicted to something. Well, I guarantee you they do that because they have a lot of problems inside. They have a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, and they're trying to fill that void that they have inside with that thing, right? And I guarantee you if you were to look at that person, you'd probably judge them and be like, "Man, they need help. Like what's wrong with them? Why do they do this?" Well, I'm here to tell you you're the same way, okay? But your thing, your appetite, your addiction is sex and pornography, masturbation, lust. That's your thing, okay? I promise I've been that place. And when you look at somebody, you don't see them as another human being. You see them as something to give you pleasure because you're selfish, okay? I was the same way. You know how selfish I was? That's all I cared about was me, me, me. What I can have, what I can get. I didn't care about anybody else on this planet Earth. All I cared about was me. And that's a very scary and dangerous place to be. And if you're in that place, I'm trying to tell you that pornography is not the answer, okay? It's not going to give you anything because I'm trying to tell you again, like I said, with that giant hole in your heart, I guarantee you, you're seeking out something. You're seeking out love. You're seeking out acceptance, and you're trying to find it with pornography and with sex because you're seeking out love in all the wrong places. You're using, sex or pornography or masturbation as a big band-aid and slapping it on the wound, and it's only a superficial temporary fix, and it's not going to work for very long. It might work for a day, and then it comes off. It might not even work for a day. I've been in that place where I watch pornography, 2 or 3 times a day. So I know what that's like, okay? And you might be in that place where you just keep putting that Band-Aid back on and back on and back on, and it keeps coming off. And you're like, why isn't this working anymore? And then you have to, go into something even worse than what you're watching. That's why people watch child porn. That's why people are pedophiles. That's why people do crazy stuff. That's why people rape people. I mean, we're just being serious here, okay? This is serious business. That's why people do that jacked up stuff, because pornography and normal sexual stuff isn't enough for them anymore, and they've grown out of it. It's the same thing with a crackhead, right? Or somebody who's addicted to drugs, killing themselves and having an overdose because the weed wasn't enough anymore. Or somebody, having alcohol poisoning because the one shot, the 2 shots I got on buzzed, that ain't enough anymore. So I gotta drink every single day to even function. I gotta smoke the weed every single day to even function. I gotta watch the pornography every single day to even function because I can't do it without it. Okay? That's what happens. That's why that's a thing. And I'm here to tell you that addiction is serious business, and it's not something to play around with. So if you're in the place where that's you, and you are struggling with pornography and you're struggling with lust, I'm here to tell you that there is hope, because I was in your same position, okay? I was in the same place as you, and I had to deal with that stuff for a long time, all right? But, again, now I'm going to get into something you might not like, but Jesus Christ, okay? Jesus Christ. That's the answer, bro. I promise. You might think I'm a kook and a nut, but I'm telling you, I was in church my entire life, and I did not care about God or Jesus or none of that stuff because it didn't mean anything to me, all right? I had no interest in the slightest. I was like, this is not for me. I'm going to live my life doing what I want to do because I like to do it. I don't want anything to do with this, okay? I've been in that place, I promise, and I was miserable. I hated my life. I was depressed. I didn't want to live anymore. And you know what I had to do? I had to get on my dang floor and cry out and say, God, I need help because I can't do this by myself anymore. I'm miserable and I don't want to live, and I need your help. I'm ashamed of myself because I felt convicted, man. I felt like, man, this pornography isn't doing it anymore. I need help. I'm searching for love, and I can't find it anywhere. I felt so alone, bro. And the only place I could find it was in Jesus Christ. You know what he did, bro? Do you know what he did for you? Like, that's the thing about it. A lot of people don't understand. They know he died on the cross, but do you know why he died on the cross? Because he loves you. He cares about you. Like, Dude, you have a plan and a purpose for your life. You're a human being. Like, you have value and worth. You're not worthless. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that for so long, that I didn't have a purpose in my life, that I didn't have worth in my life. And when I was in my lowest point, he showed me that I did have purpose in my life. The fact that he would do what he did for me, looking at where I was in my life, you think I'd do that for me? If I was as good as he was, if I was as perfect as he was, never sinned once in his whole life, never even thought about hurting somebody, never even thought about hating somebody, never even looked at a woman with lustful intent, never lied once in his entire life, you think I would have looked at me where I was and died for that kid? You're what a joke, you know? What a joke. He didn't even care. He didn't even want to live. He hated his life. You know, like, I'm not finna do anything for this kid. I'm not giving him a second of my time. But this man, this God, this Savior, Jesus Christ, who came to the earth and died for me in the most miserable way possible, literally hung on a cross, got nails put through his hands and feet, was lashed to where you could see his insides. And then, you know, that was something about the crucifixion. They would break your knees so you'd suffocate because you had to pick yourself up every time you wanted to take a breath. And he did that on that cross for like 9 hours or something crazy. And he did that for me. Someone who's worthless has no value. You know what I'm saying? And he loves me. He cares about me. And he wants me to have a life that's worth something. And he wants you to have a life that's worth something. Because he loves you. And he wants you to know that you're equal to every single other human being on this planet. And that there's value and worth in your life. Because he created you in his own image, man. And he loves you. And he rose from the dead on the third day. Not only did he defeat sin, but he defeated death, dude. And you have value and worth, and you have a reason to live. And it's because of what he did. Like, bro, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? That's what it took for me. I had to realize I can't depend on this stuff anymore because it's superficial. It's just vanity. It doesn't satisfy me anymore. It doesn't give me what I want anymore. I have to turn to something better. I have to turn to love. I can't do it with the superficial stuff, this skin deep stuff anymore. I need something that goes down to the heart. Because he's eternal and he goes down to the heart. And he loves you, bro. I promise. If you're struggling with pornography, I swear to you, it is impossible for you to stop. But what's impossible with man is possible with God. If you've never even thought about it, I promise, pick up a Bible, bro. Go get an ESV, English Standard Version. Read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's all you have to do, okay? That's all you have to do. Just know what Jesus said. And if that doesn't convict you, then I don't know what to say, you know? But I don't want you to have to deal with the consequences I had to deal with. You know how long it took me to get free of pornography? It took me a long time because I had to deal with the thoughts afterward, right? Like, my brain had been completely rewired to think sexually constantly 24/7. And I couldn't even look at like lotion or soap that was like white without thinking about stuff. Like, dude, it was that bad. You know what I'm saying? It was to that degree. And it took me a long time to get over that. It took me years to get over that. But once I realized that I'm not, well, when I feel empty, when I feel lonely, when I feel depressed, when I need something, when I need comfort, when I need love, I can't turn to the porn because it's not going to work anymore. I have to turn to something that's eternal, something that's real. And his love is real, and it's real for you, bro. He loves you. He cares about you. He wants to have a relationship with you. Christianity is not about going to church and having big events and being hype and having a show, bro. It's about having a relationship with Christ. That's the most beautiful thing a human being can have. You know, he's my father. Like, he's my best friend. He's my brother. He's everything I wanted. You know, he's everything I needed. And he's my first love. I want you to know what that feels like. So all I can say is, if you're dealing with pornography, by the way, he's completely freed me from pornography for for a couple years now. I haven't kept track, but that just goes to show it's been a long time. I actually got this tattoo, and you know, it's from BioShock, but it has a little break in the middle because it's on my right hand, and that's to symbolize that he freed me from pornography and he freed me from masturbation. And if you were to go back and tell myself years ago, 2 years ago, you know, however long, 2, 3 years ago, that I'd be free of pornography, I thought you were crazy because I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. I was in such a low place and so dependent on it, I didn't think it was possible. But he did it, you know, and it took a long time. And I don't want you to have to go through that struggle because you don't understand how hard that was. You don't. And you won't until you have to go through that. And I'm trying to make it to where you don't have to go through that. So if you're dealing with that, I promise you the only way to stop watching pornography, bro, is to know who Jesus Christ is, to have a relationship with him, to know that that's where love comes from. It's not going to come from anything else. It's not going to come from money. It's not going to come from fame. It's not going to come from people. It's not going to come from anything, dude. It's only going to come through Christ, I promise. And it's not an easy thing to crucify the flesh. I know that. I understand that. But once you realize that Jesus Christ said it is finished on the cross, and he said, whom the Son sets free is free indeed, and that greater is he who's in you than he that is in this world, that he gave you the power to trample on every serpent, every scorpion, and all the power of the enemy, that nothing shall by any means harm you. When you realize that, you can tell the devil to get the heck out of my face. I'm not going to listen to you telling me that I'm going to be addicted to this my whole life. Don't speak death over yourself, bro. Okay? Don't. Your tongue has so much power in it. And if all I used to do when I was a kid was speak misery and trouble and depression and anxiety and problems over myself, and you know what I had in my life? All of those things that I just said, because that's what I would speak over myself. But you can't do that. You have to speak life over your life. I know that sounded crazy, but you have to speak positivity about your life. You have to speak light into the darkness, bro. You can't speak death over your life, dude, because that's what's gonna come. He didn't come to give you, like, the enemy came to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus came to give life and life in abundance. So accept that that's the case. He's the Prince of Peace. He doesn't want you to worry about stuff. Don't worry about tomorrow, bro. He's gonna take care of it. There's enough to worry about today. He's gonna take care of tomorrow. If he dresses the lilies, if he feeds the birds, how much more is he gonna, be there for you, bro, in his own image? Every hair on your head is numbered. Like, anyway, my point here is that there is love in this world, okay? It exists. And it only comes through Christ. It's impossible to find it anywhere else. I tried. My whole life was spent, wasted, trying to find it in other things that couldn't satisfy me. And it took me a long time to get over that junk, bro. But when I did, thank God, right? Because I'm just glad I'm not in that same place I used to be anymore. Because it was miserable. And I don't want you to have to go through the same things I had to go through. I'm 20 now. And I look back on my life and I see all these kids that have access to this stuff, and girls making porn videos and making OnlyFans accounts. And it's just like, bro, because they think that's the only worth they have is their body. And guys think that that's all they want. And it's like, dude, no. That is a lie. That's not worth nothing, dude. It's not going to give you anything. It's not going to satisfy you, bro. I promise. It's only going to go so far. You want love, and the only way to find it is in Christ. I promise you. I'm not trying to get you to go, I'm not trying to get you into a religion. I'm trying to get you into a relationship with Christ. Because that's the key of life. Like, that's the whole purpose of life. That's why we were even created in the first place, dude. So I hope that none of this went over your head. That I was just kind of rambling on about stuff. I hope that you kind of got something out of this. But like, I just want you to know that there's a lot of people out there going through the exact same thing that you are. Okay. And I was in that place for a long time. And it took me a very long time to get over that. But he did, you know, that's the purpose of this. He did it. And if he could do it for me, he could do it for literally anybody. He could do it for you. And if he could love me where I was, he can love anybody. And he does love everybody because he loves you and I love you. You know, we're all human beings, bro. And we're all trying to find our place on this earth. But he has a plan and a purpose for everybody's life, including yours. You know, like you're here for a reason, man. And I don't want you to waste your time looking for life and looking for love in all the wrong places. I want you to use your time wisely because tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's not. And every breath we breathe is a blessing, you know? So, anyway, find him, dude, while he can be found. It says that he stands at the door and knocks. You got to open the door, bro. That's what it took for me to do. I had to open the door. I had to put in some effort. And when I put in the effort, he came in, and my life's never been the same. Was it easy? No, not at all. But would I do it again? I'd do it again in a heartbeat. And I want you to be that same way. Like, I want you to open that door and let him come in, dude, because I promise you he's going to change something in your life, even if it takes time. You know? But anyway, just know that there is hope, there is life, and he's the way, the truth, and the life. He's the resurrection, and he loves you. And there is hope. There's a way out of lust. There's a way out of pornography, and it's through him, and he's the only way out. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks.